You got it. You're all right. Right? He was in the fire with them. Then we have Daniel in the lion's den, and I'm like, okay, we don't have a record that God was in the lion's den with him, but Daniel said this: my God has sent an angel and shut the lions' mouths. So in a sense, so he knew there was God's presence there with him. He knew that God had walked through that lion's den experience with him, and we call it a lion's den experience. He was really in the lion's den, right? I can't even imagine that. I may just let my head run with that. No, not today. I'm too tired. But maybe later, I'll just let my head kind of run with that and just really try to really imagine what that experience was like. You're standing on the edge of a pit full of lions running back and forth. They can't wait for some fresh meat and fresh blood. They're going to tear you to pieces the second you fall in. You fall in, they throw you in, and then they all just look at you like, just not even hungry. I can't get my mouth open, right? I just can't even imagine that experience. Anyway, and then we have the disciples out on the sea. In the middle of the storm, Jesus walked out in the middle of the storm and brought peace. He didn't wait on the bank, wait for the storm to calm. That's what most friends do, to be honest. But he didn't wait on the bank and wait for the storm to calm. He walked out in the middle of a raging storm and calmed the sea and brought peace. And so those are just the one, two, three, four, five things that came to the top of my mind just as I started thinking about that this morning. And I was like, I'm just so glad, in this situation, just a little bit of personal side of this, the doctors had all this information Friday about there being a bacterial infection, and they didn't do anything till Monday because it was inconvenient. They had to have a weekend off, and I know people need days. I need days off. I don't know what that is, but I need days off too. So no condemnation there, but it was frustrating because they waited till yesterday when it got worse. They could have done something had they, had a little better system. Okay, that's just their system. That's just their way. Okay, but the reason I was thinking that was God doesn't take the weekends off. He didn't clock out at 10 last night like people need to do because they've got to go home and rest. They can't be in at 24/7 with you, right? Workers or non-workers. I get that. But he didn't clock out at 10 and go, well, I'll be back at 8 in the morning. I hope you're okay. If not, take him to the hot. They didn't clock out. He didn't clock out at 8 last night. He didn't come and clock in at 6 this morning. He didn't clock out while I was awake last night or clock in to even cover me while I was so I could sleep, He didn't clock out. He didn't go home. And I was just like, God is with us no matter what we're facing. And maybe you're not facing anything bad right now. Maybe you're not in a tough situation right now. Maybe you don't have any problems at all right now. Maybe there's just nothing you're even being tested with or tempted with. And if that's the case, you probably need to wake up because something ain't right. Because there's always something that's stretching our faith. There's always something just stretching us to find out, will we continue to trust God? It's not God tempting us, but life tests our faith. But it says in, oh goodness, it's James, the testing of our faith is like gold, or is it Peter? James, that it's precious when our faith is tested. Why? Because we get on the other side of that test going, God's still right here. God has seen me through something else. God did not leave me. I still trust him. My faith is still intact. My trust of him is still intact. And so I was so thankful this morning as I started getting around. I haven't even had coffee yet. I haven't even had coffee yet. Anyway, so as I started getting around, I was like, I was just so thankful that God doesn't clock out for the storm, that he's just nosy enough, and I know that's a silly term, to stick around. And so I thought of two scriptures came to mind, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to really read, so I'm just going to read both of them, and then I'll be done. The first one I was thinking about was, and we've read both of these before many times, but in Isaiah 40, he says, oh goodness, let's see. He says, hold on, I gotta get my second glasses because these little words got really small. Okay, here we go. Sorry, isn't that cute? Let's see. O Israel, how can you say the Lord does not see your troubles? How can you say God refuses to hear your case? Have you not heard or understood? Don't you know that the Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth? He never grows faint or weary. He never grows faint or weary. He doesn't have to clock out and get 8 hours of sleep every night. He doesn't need time off. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't even get tired, right? It says he gives power. Let's see, he never grows faint or weary. No one can measure the depths of his understanding. He gives power to those who are tired and worn out. I need his power and strength today. I'm tired and worn out. I'm just going to be honest. He offers strength to the weak. I will be the first one to tell you I'm so weak. I need him so much. And he never says, I don't feel like messing with you today. He never says, I'm tired of the situation. Let's get a different trial or something. Get a different test. I'm tired of the situation. No, it says he just gives strength to the weak. And then he goes on and says, if we wait on him, he will give us new strength. We will fly high like eagles, will run and not grow weary, and walk and not faint. The whole point is he doesn't get tired. He doesn't clock out. He doesn't go home. He doesn't need time off. He doesn't even take a second off. He is constantly watching over our souls and our hearts and our lives, right? And that just brought me so much comfort today, and peace. And peace. Comfort and peace right in the middle of the storm. Isn't that amazing? It really is. But that's the way he designed it. And then the other scripture that came to mind, I'm trying to get off of here, it was Isaiah 43, which is just over 2 pages. And he said this, he says, but now, O Israel, the Lord who created you says, do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name, and you are mine. When, not if, when you go through deep waters and great trouble, I will be with you. When you go through deep waters, great trouble, you could say great waters and deep trouble too, right? He said, there's a promise there. I will be with you. It doesn't say, I'll be waiting on the shore for you. I'll be waiting on the other side for you. I'll be there when you get through it. No, when you go through, I will be there with you. But he goes on, there's more. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. Right? He says on down in verse 5, it lists several other things, but it says, do not be afraid, for I'm with you. And so I thought of this list of these ones I thought about this morning and jotted them down because I knew I'd forget sleep deprivation, right? And so this is what my mind's going to be on today. I'm just going to go through today. My meditation is going to be on just all the different accounts in the Bible where God walked through stuff with people. You know, the places where he went out of his way to reach people, like Hagar. You know, we would throw her away too. She raised Ishmael. That was a whole that's from what I understand a lineage that is still giving the world a lot of trouble because he was a rough dude, right? But God went out of his way for Hagar. He went out of his way for the woman at the well. He went out of his way for people that we would have cast aside. Even think about children. You know, they were saying, no, don't bother him. Don't bother him. Get away, get away, get away, get away. And Jesus was going, oh, no, let the children come. This is what the kingdom of God looks like. Someone who's seeking and doesn't even have a clue what's going on, but they're seeking just because they want it. They're like, I need a taste of that. I need to understand that. I need to learn that. The sense of that whole thing of discovery and all of that, right? And so it seems like he went through things with people that other people wouldn't even endure, right? I think of all the times now, you know, the prophet was, you know, Ezekiel, he was always like, what are you doing in a cave? just hiding, right? But he always came and he always walked through and he will always walk through with us. He doesn't clock out and go home. He doesn't take a day off. He doesn't say this struggle's a little too big. I wasn't prepared for this today. Come back tomorrow. No, he just says, I got you. I got you. And with that, we can peace out because he's got you no matter what you're facing, no matter how big it seems or how small it seems. It's not too small for him to care about. And it's not too big for him to handle, right? So take comfort today and peace. Peace out. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.